What brings you to my country?
My husband and I have adopted a little girl.
I used to be passionate, alive.
Well, the idea for The Waiting City really grew out of my younger sister's kind of idea. She was in her final year at high school and having a bit of a war of attrition with my mother. She was like, I cook for you, I clean for you, and yet you're so ungrateful. You'd never be able to survive a day in the slums of Calcutta. And anyway, my sister decided she wanted to come to Calcutta and work in the slums. She kind of called me and said, do you want to come with me? And I'd been shooting quite a lot of documentary stuff before that and had a small kit, camera and sound recording kit. And we went for 3 months and worked with Mother Teresa's sisters. And while I was there, I met a lot of couples trying to adopt children and became really fascinated with their love stories and why they were led to this point where they were choosing to adopt. And I continued to research and interview couples when I returned back to Australia and went back to India a year later for another 3-month stint with my sister. We kind of fell in love with Calcutta and the whole kind of area of humanitarian aid and what that really meant to us as Western kind of people coming in. So the idea really grew out of that work that we did and the couples that we met, and I began to write a story based on that.
Well, with the look of the film, we always wanted the objective that it felt like for an audience that you were involved in the scenes, like you were really there, you know, had a sense of intimacy with the characters, that you were on the street with them or in the hotel room with them, more than just observing them. And we talk a lot about how do you create that sense for an audience, and we've watched a lot of documentaries before and a lot of successful features which have done similar things, and we had a few reference points, and from ranging from National Geographic magazine and documentaries to other films like The Bell, which we watched closely and saw what worked with that.
I really enjoy that intersection between reality and fiction, and the film is a kind of poetic naturalism. It's sort of not really documentary, but it certainly utilises documentary techniques in the making of the movie, and hopefully the journeys of the characters should feel authentic.
There'd be often blocking streets, and there'd be all markets and shops that would be interfering with, but we also found that there'd be a lot of those people on the street were really excited about having a film crew on the street, and were really wanting to be a part of it, helping out. We had people that were just happy to be in front of the camera and be an extra.
There was a willingness amongst the team to embrace the chaos, and with the actors, often they were in scenes with non-actors or in real situations in which they would be put inside a situation that was actually happening, or we would reconstruct a situation that was in real time and we would shoot around that, which would kind of create a sort of spontaneity in terms of what was happening. They'd really have to be on their toes about what they were doing because they were actually having to hang out with real people and see what, they couldn't anticipate a response, which often made it quite interesting for them.
A different extra would walk into the scene and do something else, or someone would come up, people would come up and start talking to Joel or Radha in the middle of a shot sometimes, or want to, I remember someone playing with Radha's hair when in the middle of doing a scene.
Or stand behind the lead actress and try to sort of steal their thunder. Yeah, there were interesting times. The question of being a Western crew coming into India, coming into Calcutta to shoot this movie, we didn't want to approach it as though we were just foreigners just taking over and forcing people to do things our way. And so we really invested a lot of time and energy doing our homework, coming back to India, doing research trips, meeting people and handpicking our team, so that we really made sure that whoever we worked with were passionate about the film and understood what we were trying to achieve and wanted to be a part of it. I was lucky enough to have travelled to India probably 12 times, so I had a really deep understanding of Calcutta, and having lived there for probably 6 months and travelled back over a number of years, I developed some really close friends within the city, and it was important to make sure that the script felt that it honoured Calcutta as a major character in the film and an antagonist in some ways in relationship to the two major characters of the film, the two Australian actors in the film. And I did have some allies that I would send the script to and get thoughts on, and also in terms of the adopting couples, I also sent the script to them to get their thoughts about the adoption process. And so I was really kind of trying to muscle in the people that could really shepherd the film to a point where it felt authentic.
We took some Australians in terms of the camera crew. We were shooting with digital cameras, so we had a data wrangler who was handling all our files. We had a first assistant camera who also did some camera operating and some additional cinematography on it. We had Mark Lapwood as a B camera and second unit director of photography. He's an Aussie guy. We went through film school together, and he had been living and working in India for a long time, so he was an ally too, where he knew the systems well enough to be able to relate to the grips and gaffers. But other than that, the rest of the crew were all locals, many from Mumbai, and they drove their trucks, lighting trucks and grips trucks across the country, which took about 7 days to get the gear there. And I found it an absolute joy working with these guys. They were incredible. They brought a lot to the project. They had some of their own ideas and aesthetic that they would suggest, and I was really open to embracing that. And we got some great work out of that. But also we had people who have been working in film for so long. I mean, it's an industry which is so active and so busy there.
There's something I think that's so wonderful about finding your people, finding your family, and there's a number of collaborators that worked on The Waiting City that I just hope to be working with film after film, including Denson.
I absolutely loved shooting The Waiting City. It was such a great experience, and it was a film as a story was something that I felt very rewarding as a story to tell. And I think that's what attracts me to a script and to a project is great characters and a great story with a strong message that I feel really strongly about myself. And yeah, I think that whether it's a story like The Waiting City or something completely different, it's those elements I think that make a film interesting to me.
It's very exciting to have a Sydney audience watch this film and an Australian audience, and this is our premiere in Australia, so it's really exciting to see what Australians will think of a film about Australians who travel. It's sort of not something that we often cover in films, that seeing the experience of what happens when you travel, and this is the first Australian film ever to have been shot in India.
She deserves a real family. A real family believing in each other.
Would you stop acting like a child and start acting like a man?
You must act out of love, not desperation or need.